Good day, everyone, and welcome to the 20th session of UP Manila SILab webinar series IOL 2025. I'm Gabby Velasquez, and I will be your host for today's session. And as always, it is a pleasure to have you all here as we work together to share knowledge and collaborate in the field of digital health. At UPM SILab, or UP Manila Standards and Interoperability Lab, a research and development lab under the UP Manila National Telehealth Center, or the NTHC, we are dedicated here to advancing digital health capacity across the Philippines. So, guided by our mission to support universal health coverage, we are expanding our efforts this year to engage and empower a wider community. So, of course, through knowledge sharing and capacity building initiatives, we aim to deepen the understanding of key topics such as health data standards, interoperability, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and more. And today we're excited to bring you another topic, the openIMS, or the Open Source Insurance Management Information System in Medical Education. As we all know, HIS are crucial in the implementation of Philippine Universal Healthcare Law, but they're not routinely taught in medical schools. That's why this webinar aims to describe openIMS in the context of interoperability, in the context of Philippine medical education, and of course, including its practicality and limitation. So again, thank you for joining us today as we build knowledge, share insights, and grow our learning community committed to continuous improvement. So I hope you guys are excited to learn, share, and connect with our fellow members of our community of practice. And as always, we extend our sincere gratitude to our partners for their unwavering support in making this webinar series possible. So we'd like to thank the CSIRO Australia through the Strengthening Standards Capability Project, or the SSCP, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, or the DFAT, and the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, or the DOST-PCHRD. And so for today, we'd also like to extend our gratitude to the Asia eHealth Information Network, or the AHIN, as we collaborate with them for this session. Okay, but before we proceed with our session, just a quick rundown of the house rules. I know most of you are familiar with these already, but just to reiterate, so this session is already being recorded, and by proceeding with the meeting, you are consenting to be recorded. I remind everyone to kindly stay muted throughout the lecture. A virtual background has been provided, so turning on your camera is very much appreciated, especially later during the photo op. So we encourage everyone to please change your name for proper identification, and if you may, add your affiliation beside your name for proper recognition. Of course, we want this session to be engaging and interactive, so there will be a Q&A portion after the lecture, and we have three options. So you may either use the raise hand function, or you may type in your questions in the chat box, or if you want to ask anonymously, you may use the Q&A button. So please actively participate and don't hesitate to ask your questions, okay? Okay, so again, please do not leave yet. After the Q&A, we will be having our group photo. And lastly, to receive your electronic certificates of participation, do not forget to complete the evaluation form after this session. So these has also been sent to your emails, but just a reminder, please be advised that the release of your e-certificates may be subject to delays. So we apologize for any inconvenience. And moving on, for the community of practice, or the COP, again, I'm inviting new friends and colleagues, especially new participants in our UPM SILab webinar series, to join UP Manila SILab's community of practice, which is the group of experts and practitioners all passionate about advancing standards and interoperability in healthcare. So you may sign up to receive our newsletter and join our WhatsApp group, or you can scan the QR code flashed on your screen. So again, please join our group, receive updates from UPM SILab. Everyone is welcome there. So I guess Sir JR has already sent the link. Thank you so much, Sir JR. And before anything else, just a quick question for everyone while most of you are joining already the WhatsApp GC. So where are you all connecting from? May I know? So please feel free to share your city or region in the chat box. So let's see where everyone's joining us today. Me, I'm joining from Manila. So let's see, how about the others? So we have participant from Pampanga, from Pasig City as well. Marikina, Dasmariñas, QC, Pangasinan, Valenzuela, Zamboanga. Wow, we're reaching again Visayas for today. Sorry, Mindanao for today. Okay, we have latest. So may Visayas na rin po pala. From Sultan Kudarat, maraming salamat po for joining us. From Isabela, Butuan. Wow, again, amazing how UPM SILab is reaching different cities and region across the country. Okay? So may mga pahabol pa po bang cities or regions dyan? Okay, I guess majority are from Manila. Alright, so for today's agenda, may I introduce our esteemed resource speaker for this session of IOL 101. So it is my great pleasure to introduce to the group Dr. Julius Migriño. Dr. Julius is a full-time associate professor and unit head for research at the San Beda University College of Medicine and an adjunct faculty at the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health. He received his medical degree and his master's degree in international health under the UP system, and he completed specialization courses in health informatics, data analytics, and artificial intelligence under the Johns Hopkins University and the Development Academy of the Philippines, Project Sparta. He has authored several publications on machine learning in pandemic surveillance and prognostication during the COVID-19 pandemic. And he's also an active member of the Asia eHealth Information Network, or the AHIN, and is currently the country hub consultant on openIMIS. Now to present openIMS, or the Open Source Insurance Management Information System in Medical Education, Interoperability Principles, Practical Uses and Limitations, I virtually present to you Dr. Julius Migriño. Hi, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I hope my audio is okay. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Thank you to UP SILab for inviting me to share this talk with you. So let me share my screen. So I hope my screen is visible.
Sir. We can see clear screen.
So the webinar is entitled openIMIS, or openIMIS in Medical Education: Interoperability Principles, Practical Uses, and Limitations. So in this webinar, I hope to share with you, it's more of a sharing of the journey, experiences, and of course, the practical lessons learned in introducing, testing, and using openIMIS in a Doctor of Medicine program in an academic setting. Of course, here in the Philippines. So here are the objectives: to describe openIMIS in the context of Open Health Information Exchange Framework, to discuss openIMIS using use cases in Philippine medical education, and to identify possible openIMIS limitations in the context of the Philippine healthcare system, where we are all working right now. So to start, in 2022, Dr. John Wong, I'm sure some of you would know Dr. John Wong, and his colleagues, they published a report about interoperability. So they suggested that the Philippines, quote unquote, the Philippines has developed a disease surveillance system, an e-health law, and a strategic plan in 2016. A joint administrative order with the DOH and DICT made FHIR, or Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources, of course, which most of us know is an international standard for health data exchange. The JOA made FHIR the standard for the country. However, Dr. Wong et al. Mentioned that this has yet to be implemented. So they continue that digital health has greatly expanded during COVID, but there is still a need for a more coherent plan, and that the Philippines has been lacking the strong data governance required. They mentioned that foundations for a truly interoperable health data systems are in place, greatly accelerated during COVID, but so far there is a lack of political will. Now, of course, I am quoting Dr. John Wong and his colleagues in this particular report that they published back in 2022. So the Smarter and Integrated Local Health Information System, SMILHIS, SMILHIS, is a local government unit centric local health information exchange. It is being developed by Ateneo de Manila University, and it aims to allow seamless transfer of data within the health service delivery network to foster the adoption of universal healthcare within its jurisdiction. Now, it uses the HL7 FHIR standards for the Ateneo-developed EMR, EHATID. On a national level, the Philippine Core Data for Interoperability, or PHCDI, it serves as the foundation for the development of a national FHIR implementation guide within the Philippines. Now, the National Health Data Repository Framework, or NHDR, hilig sa acronyms talaga yung mga tao in our field. No? So, the NHDR is a comprehensive architecture which was developed to manage, integrate, and also govern health data across the Philippines in support of universal healthcare. It outlines the necessary legal, technical, operational components which enables the building of a unified, secure, and interoperable health data system. And of course, while making this presentation, I found out that UPM SILab was actually involved in training of the NHDR team. So I hope my sources are correct in that. Now, as part of the framework's key element on interoperability, the PHCDI implementation guide is based on FHIR version R4. Now, openIMIS is the first open source health information technology for the linking of beneficiary, provider, and payer data. Now, openIMIS aims to link health financing schemes into an interoperable digital health system by using open source software. It is currently being implemented in multiple countries, including Nigeria, Tanzania, Nepal, and Bangladesh, and is currently establishing a community of practice for openIMIS users here in Southeast Asia. Now, openIMIS has three core functions. You have client enrollment, health claims entry, and health claims management, including feedback, reporting, etc. And all in the backdrop of continuous feedback, monitoring, and of course, reporting. openIMIS is also modular in nature and thus have a high degree of customizability for each use case. Now, shown on screen are the different modules and functions of openIMIS. And as you can see, there are a lot of modules present. There are functions on client registry, customization of benefit plans, available resources, localization of health service providers and facilities, and even accounting functions, including, well, actually, at least the more recent version of openIMIS, it also includes using AI in claims adjudication. Now, user role customization is also possible. Actually, the user role customization is very, very detailed for this particular software, as well as reports generation. That is an important function, which is also implemented by openIMIS. Now, Open Health Information Exchange, or OpenHIE, is a standards-based architectural framework that helps health information systems share and use data in a coordinated way. So it was designed specifically for low and middle income countries to improve healthcare outcomes, of course, through better data exchange and systems interoperability. Now, this was mentioned during the introductory video earlier. I think the one who mentioned this was Dr. Eloy Marcelo. Now, OpenHIE has three architectural layers. The first layer consists of, I hope you can see my screen. Yeah. I hope you can see my cursor rather. So the first layer here on top consists of both business domain services and registry services, including specific health system business domains, services that identify and track unique patients, facilities, healthcare products, and terminology. So administrative work, tracking capabilities is very much a component of the first layer of OpenHIE. Now let's skip to the third layer. The third layer here at the bottom is the point of service layer, which contains the healthcare provider's front-facing applications, such as, of course, you have your EHR here, and of course, laboratory records here. Lab records, pharmacy records, and the record system associated with those. Now, going back to the second layer is the interoperability services layer. It bridges layers 1 and layers 3 to make sure that the shared data between layers 1 and 3 are both secure and consistent. Again, this is what the introductory video was telling us earlier. And as is visualized in this slide, this particular slide by Daniel Futterman, this entire thing, I lifted it from a slide by Daniel Futterman. openIMIS functions in layer 1 through its many administrative functions, such as health facility and health services registries, and it also functions well in layer 3 rather, through its client enrollment and health claims submissions functions. So in essence, I'm telling you from this slide that openIMIS functions in layers 1 of the openHIE framework as well as in layer 3. Now, how does it fit with layer 2 of the openHIE framework? That is the next question, which I plan to address in this particular slide. openIMIS incorporates layer 2 of the openHIE framework. openIMIS follows well-established interoperability standards, such as those of openHIE, in order to be interoperable with several digital public goods operating across the global healthcare sector. So interoperability is very much important and being followed by openIMIS since it is an open source software and it needs to integrate with other open source software, particularly in the global healthcare sector. Now, these other global goods, digital global public goods, include DHIS2 and openMRS. I'm sure some of you are familiar with openMRS as well. Now, the standardized framework used by these open source healthcare technologies is the HL7 standard for FHIR. Now, for the next part of the talk, I will focus more on layers 2 and 3 of the openHIE framework as they apply to service delivery health providers, particularly in the training of future doctors in the medical education sector. So openIMIS is a core digital platform that Nepal uses to manage its national health insurance scheme since 2016. Actually, this is a little bit of a segue first. Now, according to the Nepal Health Insurance Board, and of course, I had one dinner meeting with one of Nepal's key health informatics champion, Dr. Saurav. They mentioned that openIMIS has been instrumental in the development and rapid expansion of the health insurance program of their country. They used the software's enrollment processes, claims management, beneficiary management, claims review, and even generating the reports for their insurance claims using openIMIS. Now, Nepal is one country which actually fully uses openIMIS in their implementation of their national scale insurance system. So they actually use openIMIS as part of their national insurance system. The primary focus of interoperability with openIMIS for Nepal has been around the electronic submission of claims via electronic medical record systems, where service providers that use EMRs are submitting claims using API following FHIR standards. Now, the timing of their use with openIMIS is actually very fortuitous, at least in Nepal. I'm talking about Nepal. Because before openIMIS, they did not have proper insurance program softwares or applications. They all do their reporting and claims by hand, by pen and paper. So it was very fortuitous that openIMIS came in and acted as their primary initial and eventually their primary application, which facilitated their health insurance program, for their national health insurance program for their country. Now, going into a more localized setting, San Beda University College of Medicine, which is situated in the city of Manila, Philippines, collaborated with AHIN to include San Beda University as part of the openIMIS regional community of practice way back in the good old days of 2020, so January 2020, before the event happened. And this was facilitated with online trainings and the actual usage of openIMIS. Now, an initial implementation project roadmap was proposed in 2021, at least in the university, and students and faculty from the college participated in openIMIS online courses and test cases. So the students and faculty were very active in the implementation project roadmap. And in academic year 2021 to 2022, the students of the Tropical Medicine course participated in the Swiss Tropical and Public Health Institute openIMIS e-learning course, which was supplemented by the 2022 version of the manual by Dr. Nemul Fahutagana et al. The manual was entitled openIMIS Training Program for Medical Students in the Philippines. Now, post-activity feedback of the course and openIMIS, so feedback of the course from the Swiss Tropical and Public Health Institute, as well as for tropical medicine in San Beda University, using openIMIS, the feedback for the course and openIMIS in general was done in 2022 to determine the general utility of openIMIS in the context of general practitioners and medical students. Now, the results of the 2022 openIMIS feedback was used as the framework in the incorporation of openIMIS in medical education project last year, October 2024. Now, for the project for October 2024, phase 1 of the project involved a quick review of the College of Medicine's curriculum regarding topics on health financing, electronic health records, and the preparation of the updating of the localized scenarios. Now, phase 2 of the project was a short introductory webinar, particularly on health information and openIMIS, and was followed by a hands-on practical demonstration of the 3 main functions of openIMIS. Phase 3 was the evaluation of openIMIS as a health information system and its applicability as a Filipino general practitioner. So this phase used the system usability scale by Brook et al. And adapted by Lewis et al. And this is a simplified usability survey scale. Now, what were the results? What were the findings of our project from October 2024 to 2025? So for phase 1A, the specific courses that were reviewed were courses where public health topics are usually involved. Now, at least for our medical education curriculum, the courses that were tied up with health informatics, generally speaking, would be family and community medicine and the practice of medicine courses. So these are 2 separate courses. Now, I'm not sure who in the participant lists are coming from academic institutions. So practice of medicine course is somewhat unique with San Beda University, College of Medicine. But family and community medicine is really part of the PRC competencies for all general practitioners in the context of the Philippine healthcare system. Now, in the context of medical education, health information systems are not routinely part of the learning competencies for medical school graduates. Learning outcomes regarding health information and health information systems are not explicitly included in the Commission on Higher Education, the CHED table of specifications. If you take a look at the most recent 2022 CHED table of specifications for the PRC table of specifications for the physician licensure examination, health information systems, health information are not explicitly mentioned there as far as their particular outcomes. Hence, medical schools who wants to teach health information systems, including topics like openIMIS, interoperability standards, they really need to incorporate these topics under more mainstream courses, such as, for example, family and community medicine courses and rotations, I believe I'm also involved with Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health. ASMPH has MBA courses and public health, not courses or modules, but public health sections wherein they explicitly incorporate at least some principles of health information. But in most medical schools, these are not present. Now for phase 1B, a step-by-step student guide was created that introduces medical students to the features of openIMIS that are aligned with the training as physician. Now for this phase, students were allowed to experience using openIMIS as enrollment officers, claims administrators, claims reviewers, and we tried to use localized scenarios that are applicable to general practitioners in the Philippines. Of course, medical students eventually will become general practitioners. So at the very least, they were introduced on what are the experiences of using a health information system such as openIMIS, particularly as enrollment officers, claims administrators, and claims reviewers. Now on screen is a sample of the updated guide for each outcome. There is a general scenario which puts the students into a role-playing mindset. And there is a short storyline and a scenario introduced so that the students will be playing along as they try to use openIMIS. Now, in a nutshell, the student assumes that the user, in this case medical students, are already general practitioners working as doctors, as well as openIMIS users as part of their work in a community health insurance organization. So the involvement and the mindset of actually working with the health insurance organizations is very crucial, because working with insurance systems is again not part of the medical curriculum, at least explicitly. So that's why I think I saw in the participant list some people from PhilHealth. I hope they get to understand the context of medical education more, at least in some parts of my talk. Now, the exercise was done to provide education for the medical students about the practical processes, which happens from insurance enrollments to claims processing, and see where their main function lies as physicians and where it comes into play in the entire health insurance submission and claims processing, where their role is as a doctor come into play there. Now, phase 2 of the project started with a short introductory webinar presentation on health information systems and the key features of openIMIS as a health information system. Now, this was particularly important because, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our medical students were really not versed with health informatics, health information systems. Because of the changes in the ruling of CHED in terms of who can apply as medical students, before you have certain undergraduate competencies that you need to fulfill before you are eligible to get to enroll and to apply as a medical school student. But more recently, as long as you graduate from an undergraduate course, from any undergraduate course, you're actually eligible to apply as a medical student. So these changes in the prerequisite competencies really take a hit as to what are the basic competencies that are known by our medical students when they join in as first year. Now, the webinar was immediately followed by a hands-on practical demonstration activity using the live openIMIS demo server. So the medical students were allowed to tinker at least with the openIMIS demo server. And it puts the medical students in the shoes of a health insurance administrator using openIMIS for patient enrollment, claim submissions, and claims management, the three main functions of openIMIS. So after that, we allowed the students to rate openIMIS in terms of its usability. Again, using the system's usability scoring, the SUS survey system usability scale scores by Brook et al. Now, the average openIMIS SUS score from the participants is about 68. So around here, 68 out of 100. Now, according to a study by Kortum and Bangor, 2013, a score of about 68 suggests a letter grade of C and a percentile range between 41 to 59 according to Kortum and Bangor. Yan. As you can see here, kumbaga, openIMIS, as far as our medical students are concerned, they rated it as a C level. Now, for reference, Microsoft Excel has a score of 56.5, as you can see here on the screen, 56.5 with the letter grade of D, while Google Search has a score of 92.7 and a letter grade of A+. So in short, at least for San Beda medical students, openIMIS rates somewhere in the middle between Excel and Word. Now, I'm sure all of us know how difficult Excel can sometimes be. Word, where it's more user-friendly. Definitely, Google Search is more user-friendly. So in short, openIMIS might not be the best in terms of usability. It's definitely not the worst in terms of usability. Now, the chart on screen summarizes the evaluation of openIMIS in the context of current medical education and practice in the Philippines. Now, notable results are highlighted in yellow. I'm not sure if you can read them. The font is very small. But I'm going to enumerate them. Those highlighted in yellow mention that the respondents did not find openIMIS awkward to use, which is good. Number two, the students did not find too much inconsistency, which is also good. They found openIMIS functions well integrated, which is also good. They found openIMIS actually easy to use, which is, of course, good. And they found that they would like to use openIMIS frequently, which is, again, good. So the highlighted portions there are notable positive results that the students mentioned while using openIMIS. Now, I want to go back to this slide on the interoperability of openIMIS. Now, I do agree that interoperability standards are crucial in the development and implementation of a national e-health framework and strategy. Now, I appreciate the fact that a lot of discussions focus on building the infrastructure and the data architecture of our national e-health strategy. We've had discussions with the ICT, with PhilHealth, with AHIN, with the different health informatics people from different countries, with our meetings with AHIN. And the discussion really focused a lot on infrastructure and the data architecture. However, based on our experiences at San Beda University College of Medicine, I'd like to argue that these standards are more important, at least in my opinion, for non-healthcare providers, at least non-direct healthcare providers, such as encoders, administrators, technical support personnel, and the data scientists involved in the implementation of our national e-health strategy. While openIMIS was found by medical students to be easy to use, they noted that users needed to learn a lot of things before they can use the system. So I'm showing on screen the quote-unquote the rooms for improvement rather, that our program was able to elicit from our respondents. The users think that they need the support of a technical person to be able to use the system, which is it highlights a very crucial gap in the transmittal of knowledge, information, and skills. Now, the latter issue is consistent with one comment, which stated that openIMIS, quote-unquote, openIMIS was hard to use, that it needs IT professionals on call. Now, in a recent research commentary by Chung et al., this is actually a 2025 study, they cited technical support delays as one of the challenges faced by the Philippines in terms of health information management. There were also several comments during the feedback suggesting the possible utilization of similar technology in the Philippines, particularly electronic health records and health insurance systems. Now, as a background, the 2019 UHC law, it actually requires all health service providers and insurers to maintain a health information system which covers health records. So required po ang health insurance systems across all local government units. Now, the same study by Chung et al., they also mentioned that only about 50% of LGUs in the country have allocated budgets for such systems. Now, of course, the reasons were not explicitly stated in the paper, and I would hazard a guess, just my guess, that one of these reasons is a miscalculation of the resources needed to fully operationalize these systems, which should include technical support and operational and maintenance costs. Another issue faced by health information systems, including openIMIS, is the lack of focus in the interface of layer 3 of the openHIE framework, mainly the point of service applications such as EHRs. I've been working with openIMIS since 2019 and have been part of, whether directly or indirectly, we have numerous projects, webinars, panel discussions, even discussions with the DOH meets. And what I have observed throughout the years is that, as I mentioned earlier, most discussions really target the technical and administrative sides of these systems, from setup, which is very challenging, to resource-limited settings, to optimization, to even functionality testing. However, the inputs of healthcare providers, which are the end users, seem to be blended together homogeneously with the inputs of technical and administrative personnel. This is where academic institutions in medical education can play a role in contributing to health information literacy of medical school graduates, as well as providing inputs to the e-health strategy and health information systems framework. Because at the end of the day, those who are primarily using, at least on one end of the service delivery end, those who will be using these applications are medical school graduates, would be health professions graduates as well. Now, beyond interoperability, but still closely related to it, is a concept which is more intimately related to healthcare providers. So I want to mention this: coding and classification systems, such as the International Classification of Diseases coding, or ICD, or more specific coding systems such as SNOMED. Now, while interoperability standards such as FHIR are important to applications such as openIMIS and openMRS, now this I'm verging more towards opinion. Nasa opinion section na po tayo ng webinar. I understand that interoperability standards such as FHIR are very important, of course, in data architectures. But I would argue that what is also important for medical academic institutions is training for such coding and classification systems. Not necessarily the FHIR architecture, but also coding classification systems such as ICD. Now, speaking of ICD coding, reliable and portable electronic health records rely on the knowledge of ICD coding from healthcare providers who interface directly with EHR. At least theoretically, they should be interfacing directly with EHRs. Now, for instance, the widely used open source EMR called openMRS, it uses ICD coding to log a patient's diagnosis. Now, the left side is the ICD coding, no? And the right side of your screen is the openMRS window. So, pareho po sila gumagamit. The openMRS uses ICD coding. Now, similarly, iClinicSys, which is the EMR officially endorsed by the Department of Health for use by local government units, it also uses ICD-10 as their coding system for their EMR, your iClinicSys. And I'm happy to report that a health financing and insurance information system such as openIMIS, it also makes use of ICD coding. Now, the problem is ICD coding being taught explicitly in medical schools? Or in health professional schools? In health profession schools, rather. Okay, so that's the question that I'm throwing out there. So moving forward, there needs to be a special leverage on the actual knowledge sharing, real-life usage of health information systems. So we mentioned earlier the 2022 PRC Table of Specifications. It shows a lack of focus given to the usage of important components of the e-health strategy and framework, which includes interoperability, but also includes health informatics, health information systems in general. At present, new doctors only learn about these things after they graduate. Once they go into the hospitals and actually see the electronic health records from their hospitals, from their communities, from their LGUs, they will be forced then to use them as they become, let's say, first-year residents, or they become general practitioners. And more recently, I've even heard that even residents give the encoding jobs in the EHRs to their medical student clerks and interns because either they don't want to do it, they don't have time to do it, or they even don't want to learn the system themselves. So of course, these are just anecdotal. Now, even if software applications have the best architecture, top-notch technology, and world-class interoperability systems, if the front-end users will not use them, they will just be proverbial paperweights. Additionally, there is a need to improve usability of these systems to at least MS Word level. Ideally, Google or of course ChatGPT level is very user-friendly. Otherwise, adoption will be very sluggish and may even join the list of failed ideas and products. I think I'm moving towards the last slides. In fairness, openIMIS usability survey, we only did it with medical students who will most likely not use it themselves. The evaluation tool was very rudimentary. These are the limitations of our project. Nonetheless, front-end users need to be included more in the conversation of the design of these technologies. I would suggest continuous usability monitoring, further training on how to use these information systems, especially electronic health records, very important in our drive for universal healthcare, which centers on user experience. Now, the social media companies, generative AI companies, they have consistently been doing this development, optimization of their app engagement. So they may be doing something right, which we in the health informatics sector might need to or try to adopt. Now, organizations such as UPM SILab, AHIN, they can help fill these gaps in digital health literacy. Academic institutions such as San Beda University, University of the Philippines, all of the medical schools out there, we have 70 plus already. Even CHED, PRC, come on, CHED, PRC. We should all contribute to the strategy by making sure that the new breed of health professionals understand, but not just understand, eventually use these systems. If we get to maximize the adoption of these technologies through early education, user satisfaction monitoring, user-centric design, it would help and, of course, greatly contribute to the success of the country's e-health agenda and, of course, fulfillment of the ever-fleeting, hopefully we get to achieve universal healthcare. I think that's the end. Thank you very much for listening.
Dr. Julius, for that enlightening talk. Yes, we enjoyed your informative lecture and really learn about openIMIS pala yung pronunciation, no? Especially the need to emphasize health informatics in the curriculum of medical education. So ako, I'm also a pharmacist po. And really, nahirapan din po talaga ako when it came to the real world na po talaga application ng mga informatic systems. Okay, so now I'm opening the floor to question and answer. Again, you have three options. You may use the raise hand function. You can type in your questions in the chat box, or if you want to ask anonymously, you may use the Q&A button for your question. So here, sir, we have a question from Mr. Josan. I hope I pronounced that right. So how does this harmonize with iClinicSys and iHomey? So I believe the iClinicSys was already mentioned in the presentation, but maybe you would like to expound for it further po.
Yeah, so from what I know, so of course I'm not really a frontline user of iClinicSys, but looking at the infrastructure of these health information systems, actually the interoperability is really not a big problem anymore. I think it is a general understanding of all the developers of these systems that interoperability is a very crucial component in the development of these apps. So as far as my understanding is concerned, um, data exchange from multiple, at least the bigger health information systems are already so the different bigger health information systems are already interoperable, which is actually a good thing. Like for example, in the examples that I mentioned, apart from iClinicsys, even the open source openMRS is also interoperable in terms of using FHIR in their as their interoperability standards. So that is actually one of the key features of these health information systems, in that they brag, quote unquote, they brag that they are able to interface with other health information systems seamlessly. So I think, at least this is my personal opinion, that these systems generally get to talk with each other, as opposed to a few decades back, wherein all different systems use different standards. So I think that's a tap on the shoulder of HL7 FHIR, which most health information systems use already.
Yes, and I think I would just like to reiterate din, no? So we have two different types of health data standards din naman, the semantic and the syntactic. So yung syntactic, yung FHIR. And then for the semantic, dito papasok yung mga codes like the ICD-10 or the Snowball CP. And okay, thank you, sir, for that. So here is a question from Dr. Thomas Reyes po of UPM SILab. So I'll just like to read po his question and opening statement. So it's nice to see openIMIS both a component of the interop layer and on the POS layer. However, what is the bridge or tool that you're using for the interoperability layer for different POS to benefit from interoperability? And additional question, are all operations routed through openIMIS po?
Okay. So this is actually the problem that I meant, the limitation that I mentioned earlier. No? So all of these are technical questions that honestly I don't think I would be able to answer fully. So I'm not really a technical person. I am actually one of the bridge. Sorry, the courses that I took in health informatics is actually a health informatics leadership course, which bridges medical practitioners and information technology practitioners. So may konting alam sa technology, may konting alam sa medicine. Now, this is actually the problem that I was mentioning, the limitation that I was mentioning earlier. As far as I'll answer the second question first. So actually, all of these processes are integrated together in openIMIS. So you don't need to go out of openIMIS to perform all of the primary functions of openIMIS. Now, in terms of what would bridge the, let's say, your electronic health records with openIMIS, with reporting and administration functions. Now, some of these functions are integrated within the software itself, like the reporting generation, the enrollment. You don't need to go out of the system. Now, we haven't implemented openIMIS yet in our institution as far as working with actual patients. But when this is implemented, most likely we will have a separate electronic health records, which will feed into openIMIS, and openIMIS will function mainly as the submission and the reporting, the enrollment, and the submission of health insurance claims. So openIMIS is more of a health insurance facilitator rather than electronic health records. So most likely we will be using a separate EHR, which will feed into openIMIS in the health insurance claims. So the bridge between that I'm sorry to say we haven't figured that out yet. But as far as the different countries which use openIMIS, they mentioned Nepal. They actually mentioned that they use different EHRs, but they are able to bridge it seamlessly with openIMIS. Now, I'm not a technical person. I can't answer how they managed to do that. But as far as interoperability between different EHRs with openIMIS, with generating reports they give to their government, from the experience of Nepal, it's very the data exchange there is very seamless, ang sabi nila.
Thank you so much, sir. And yes, I'd like to read Dr. Eloy's comment also that openIMIS is fire capable. Yun nga po. Okay. So thank you. So sir, here's another question. With the training of students po on the use of openIMIS, are they also trained and empowered to shape openIMIS to their specific needs and workflows? Or is this training focused on claims, eval, or evaluation, and review patient enrollment as future clinicians po? Or was the use case of openIMIS utilized for patient management too?
That's a really good question. So actually, since the functions of openIMIS is modular, and the openIMIS people, the ones who are managing openIMIS, they actually they're they they're open to tailor fit or localized trainings depending on the need of the institutions. And that's why actually I'm part of the community of practice for openIMIS. For our use case, we should only focus, at least right now, we focus on the general practitioner side of the use case for openIMIS. So of course, general practitioners, they don't normally think about claims processing. Medyo malayo yan sa utak ng mga general practitioners. But if we get to educate them as to the entire process and where in the process they are more relevant in, they get to understand the entire process. But as far as the training is concerned, we can focus our training with a specific portion of openIMIS. So that's why in our use case, in our university, we are focusing on really interfacing on it's really knowledge sharing of knowledge, it's really training on the knowledge of the entire process, but not necessarily going into the nitty-gritty of patient enrollment, claims processing. And to answer the last part, it's not going to be part of patient management because, again, patient management is really part of the initial interface, which is interface with electronic health records, which I'd like to really reiterate that openIMIS is not really an electronic health records. It's for information for health insurance. It's a health insurance system.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And I guess, yes, that gives clarity po no, on the use cases of openIMIS. So yes, hindi po EHR ang openIMIS. Okay, so
If I may,
yes, sir. Go ahead po.
so if I may add, so in our case, of course, we'd like to introduce our students to the front end of a health information system in general, because EHRs, information management systems such as openIMIS, at least the interface of that is quite similar. And a lot of our medical students, they don't even know what a health information system looks like. So if we get to start them early with looking at the interface of a health information system in general, then when they go into the clinics and they are faced with different EMRs or different other health information systems outside of EMRs, they won't be surprised anymore. They would have at least some experience on how to navigate through them. And knowing that interoperability standards apply, you have systems and coding systems standards that apply to that they need to know when they use these types of systems.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I guess very helpful po talaga na parang may sandbox po muna or parang learning environment before we go to the actual field setting. Okay. So are
Yes.
there any questions from the group? Ayan. So, while waiting po, no, from other questions, I would just like to read na lang po yung comments sa chat. So, here we have from Sir Thomas again. I really think the user experience of open flat platforms should be mainly tailored for the user. So, especially na if we want to move adoption to our younger colleagues, so dapat yung healthcare tools should be easy as use, as how they use Insta, TikTok, or ChatGPT UI. So, we don't want to and implementations with decks by 1,000 clicks, so which is a problem with other countries as well.
I agree with that fully. So
Yes,
really, uh, user user experience
experience.
is very important in the design of these products. I think there is someone who's raising their hand.
Okay. So, yes, sir. Okay, we have Steven from Sultan Kudarat, sir. Tama po ba? Yes, sir. Yo, go please. Unmute
Hello,
yourself po.
hello ma'am, good morning po. I'm audible po.
Yes, magandang umaga po.
Yes po. Magandang umaga po, mayong buntag mula dito sa Sultan Kudarat po. And wait na po. Thank you po Dr. Magrino for the insights of the day's presentation po. Sir, not the last po, parang direct to the point na po. You mentioned earlier that in your results of the tool openIMIS, you mentioned about I code not included on chat specification on health information system. Um, in your perspective opinion po, do you think and it must be high time po ba na to revisit our legislators or even the CHAD also na yung guidance specification can be used to our medical students around the Philippines po kasi while I'm chatting down notes kanina po, nakita ko po yung comment po kanina na nagsabi na some state universities and colleges implemented but limited to infographic only and not the actual HIS. So yung tanong ko po is it is a high time po ba na i-revisit po ba yung guidelines po? Kasi yun po yung para narinig ko kanina sir na you stated that this tool is not included on chat specification of on health information system. So we all know that some medical institutions here in the Philippines are actually conducting this but limited due to resources po. So meaning ito ba sir, do you think it is a high time to revisit these guidelines po in order to implement this open IMIS system tool in the future profession po ng mga medical students po? Thank you po.
Thank you very much for your question. And I really highly agree. I agree with you that it's very high time for all of us, for the medical schools, medical institutions, CHED, APMC, to explicitly include health information systems, not necessarily openIMIS, health information systems training to our medical graduates. Of course, I have this particular bias with it, but we really need to include hands-on training on health information systems. And if we can show our medical students, we should actually mandate showing our having our medical students go on hands-on training on the use of health information systems, not necessarily openIMIS yet, medyo advanced openIMIS, but if we can start with electronic health records and knowing the principles of standards and interoperability frameworks, and as well as yung mga data privacy components of all of these systems, if I can put my finger on the lever, that is a big priority in the changing of the CHED specifications. Yes, I agree with you.
Thank you, Sir Steven, for the question. And yes, sir, I think related to that question, and I'd just like to read po yung question ni Sir JL Delisay po. If medical education continues to overlook interoperability and systems thinking, do you think we risk producing excellent clinicians who remain powerless to address systemic inefficiencies in healthcare delivery?
Yes, I agree. Medical education. We're still in the bronze age of medical education if we don't use technology. So right now, 'di ba, in terms of using generative AI, in terms of in healthcare, ang sinasabi nila, AI doctors, it's not required for doctors to use AI. But if you're a doctor who doesn't use AI, then may iwanan ka in terms of your practice. So this also holds true with general medical education. We have to embrace technology because it's out there already. Otherwise, we'll just be using Bronze Age technology in our healthcare practice, which is not the best use of our time and resources, and also will not produce the optimum outcome for our patients. If our patients can get better outcomes and services if we use technology, then why deprive them of it? Nandiyan na yung technology. Medyo emotional na ako about it.
Yes, sir. Sobrang ramdam ko po yung advocacy po. Ayan. Okay, so are there any questions po from the group
I'd like to
before we
address
end this session? Yes,
my
sir.
last point dito na they're offering
Okay.
health information systems course at CSU to Tuguegarao, but we have difficulty finding HIS system demos that students can use. Ayan, that's exactly where this talk comes in. For openIMIS, openMRS, these are open source HIS system that you can use for demonstrations for your students.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Julius, for that. So, I think there are no more questions po from the group. If meron man po, you may course it through our email and we'll forward it to Dr. Julius po. So, now I'd like to invite Dr. Alvin Marcelo, UPM SILab's convener, to present our certificate of appreciation to Dr. Julius. Hi, Doc Eloy. Thank you po for joining us today.
Hello, thank you, Gabby. Dr. Julius, thank you very much for giving us this talk. Dr. Julius was my very excellent former student when he was still at the UP College of Medicine. I'm happy that he is now leading the digital transformation and medical informatics education at San Beda. So allow me, Dr. Julius R. Migriño, to give you the certificate of appreciation for your exceptional commitment as a resource speaker during the UP Manila SILab webinar series IOL 2025, openIMIS in medical education, interoperability principles, practical use and limitation. Given this 13th day of August 2025, signed Arturo Onqueco and Alvin Marcelo. Thank you, Dr. Julius.
Thank you.
Back to you, Gabby. Thank you, Dr. Julius. Proud of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc Eloy. Again, thank you all for valuable contributions. Again, thank you, Doc Julius, po, for sharing your valuable time and expertise with us. So before we formally end this session, now I invite everyone to please turn on your camera and let's have a group photo po. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, smile. So again, thank you all for joining us today. Remember, the conversation doesn't have to end here. So you can always find our latest announcements in our Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch our past webinar session. So now to receive your electronic certificates and of course for us to improve our next sessions, kindly answer the evaluation form flashed on your screen on or before 12 noon today. Again, on your right, you may scan the QR code to join our community of practice. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's session of IOL 101, openIMIS in Medical Education, Interoperability Principles, Practical Uses and Limitations. Thank you to our dearest speaker and thank you to everyone who contributed and asked their questions. Once again, thank you all for actively participating for today's session. Let's continue to connect, collaborate, and learn together. So this is Gabby Velasquez. See you in our next IOL session. Bye! Stay safe, everyone! Magandang gabi, hasta magandang umaga! Paalam!